Thank you for tuning in to Strategy Rewind. I'm your host, Miguel Lebron, and I'm a personal growth strategist. I help individuals think strategically and establish a strategy in order to be able to accomplish their breakthrough moment. And this podcast focuses on the strategies, the tactics, and the mindset necessary for a breakthrough moment. Everyone wants to be happy, but more than that, everyone wants to feel fulfilled. In a recent article from Forbes magazine, they actually did this study. 6,600 individuals took part in this, and it was 3 different firms that held this actual study. And they realized something, that over 50% of people were saying they didn't just want a job, but they wanted to feel as though they were fulfilling their purpose. How many times do we feel this way, that we're not actually fulfilling our purpose? Yes, you have a 9 to 5. Yes, you clock in and clock out, but you don't feel as though you're living up to your fullest potential. And my name is Miguel Lebron, and I'm a personal growth strategist. I'm not a life coach. Let me repeat that. I'm not a life coach. And you may be asking, what is the difference between a life coach and a personal growth strategist? The truth of the matter is that your life has so many different pockets, so many different parts. And while no one can help you with all of these, however, we can begin to build out the life that you want. And the question is how? And that would be by putting together a clear vision, obtaining your breakthrough moment, which only happens through strategies. What I've seen so oftentimes is that when our life is filled with transition and change, we sometimes rebel against this without realizing we also rebel against growth. So we don't want change to take place in our life, and we don't want our life to be filled with transitions. And so we rebel against it. We refuse to allow these changes to take place. I'll give you an example. How many times have you hung out in a relationship far too long? Like, you know, this guy is no good for you. You know that girl is toxic, and yet you maintain in the relationship. Why? Well, because there's a level of comfort zone, and it's almost like that saying, the devil that you know, against the one you don't. But what happens to this is that we're so against change that we don't realize that we're also battling against growth. Change brings about growth. And so when we come to that understanding, we can then start implementing a clear vision. Okay, where do I want to be? And who does that require me to be? What we forget oftentimes is that we are human beings, not human doings. Because you're a human being, you have to look at who you are and who you desire to be. And so if you don't feel purpose, or you don't feel that you're living out your purpose, if you don't feel like you're being the best version of yourself, one of the ways to actually begin to restructure and reinvent yourself is to sit down, write out your daily habits. And once you begin to write out your daily habits, you begin to realize something. There are moments and times that I'm investing into things that don't align with the person I want to be. It's very interesting because oftentimes we'll consider a setback as a reset. Let me repeat this again. Oftentimes we consider a setback as a reset. And a setback isn't a reset. Let me break this down for you. If you have a phone and you decide to do a reset, you have the ability to do a factory reset. A factory reset is that it will go back to its original state as though it was brand new, as though you just pulled it out of the box. The thing about this is going to delete all the apps you have, whatever wallpaper, screensaver, whatever things you have put into the phone are going to be gone, and you're going to have to start from zero. And oftentimes in our life, we treat a setback as though it's a refresh, as though we have to start from zero. And that's not the truth. The truth is that a setback can actually help you to reevaluate your steps. You've often heard a setback is a setup, right? It's a setup for a bigger blessing. But the truth of the matter is that the only way a setback is a setup for something greater is if you take time to reevaluate where are you and where do you want to be. Once you've determined where you want to be, you can then begin to observe the patterns and say, okay, yeah, I want to be in a better position, but maybe I'm not doing the things that that position requires. You can then begin to look at your goals strategically. What are the necessary steps I need to do in order to reach my breakthrough moment? And as a personal growth strategist, this is exactly where I come in and help individuals. You see, because oftentimes we are so close to the issue, so close to the problem, so close to the difficulty that we aren't able to see the, what do they say, the trees from the weeds and the, right? We're unable to see what is actually going on. And so here's the thing that I want you to understand today, that if you feel like you've had a setback in your life, that's not a reset. What exactly does that mean? That means that you don't lose everything you've gained. And you definitely don't lose all the knowledge you've gained. Sure, some setbacks are catastrophic. Some setbacks in our life take us to a position where we feel bankrupt emotionally, mentally, physically, and sometimes economically. But that setback is not a reset. There's so much that you've gained through that experience and through the journey that you can actually use to leverage and become the person you want to be and have your breakthrough moment. Recently, I made a decision. On Instagram, we have a strategy rewind account. And so, I was posting clips and details there, but I began to look at the account and I said, I can do better with the way this looks aesthetically, with the way it feels, its presentation. And so I decided to do something. I went inside the settings. I went ahead and looked at all the content that I had produced, and I decided to hit the delete button. And yes, I took this account that was already existing and I started from zero. From zero followers? No, from zero content. I started as though where I am now. And the most interesting thing happened, that even though we started with zero content, that did not delete the followers. That did not delete those people that were already engaging with the account. I want you to understand through this illustration that just because you have a setback, it doesn't mean you've lost everything. In fact, the Strategy Rewind podcast account on Instagram, the profile, which I encourage you to check out, is doing great. Aesthetically, it looks pleasing. The engagements are up. The content is actually reaching people. Sometimes we don't realize how often we need to just take a step back. But again, our fear from change and our fear to transition holds us back. So I want to ask you, are you within that group that's saying, I'm not living out my purpose? Are you within that group of people that's saying, I'm not living to the highest level possible? And if that is you, well, the question is, what can you do today? Not tomorrow, not 10 years from now, not if things were different. Right now, where you are, what can you do today? Oftentimes we sit around and I wish I would find a bag full of money. I wish I had more people to help me. I wish I had more people rooting for me. I wish. There's a saying I've told my children and I want to share with you. And it's, if wishes were fishes, the world would be an ocean. What this means is that everyone has a wish. In fact, every year or every day, someone celebrates a birthday. And when they celebrate a birthday, before they blow out the candles, traditionally, people ask, did you make a wish? Or they tell them, make a wish and then blow out the candles. So everyone has a wish, something they would desire, something they would want. But the truth of the matter is that it's not about what you wish you had. It's observing what you have and utilizing that to obtain what you'd like to obtain your breakthrough moment. There's a story of a man who met a multimillionaire. He met this person who was wealthy beyond imagination. And the individual goes up to this person and says, hey, I need help. I need money to be able to pay off my debt. And the guy asks him, how much exactly do you need? He said, I need 100,000. Guy says, no problem. I'm going to give you this money with one condition. I'm going to give you this money that for each dollar amount that I give you, you say thank you to someone. So 100,000, you need 100,000 thank yous. Well, the guy went on his way, and it was time for him to come back to the millionaire. The millionaire was about to give him the money because, see, he had walked away and he had said, thank you, 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 thank you to everybody he came in contact with. To the person that helped him at the grocery store, to the person who held the door, to the person who helped him in traffic, right? To everybody, to coworkers, family members, even to people that maybe made it a little difficult for him in the day. He was like, you know what? Thank you for this difficulty. What happened was that when it was time for him to go back to the millionaire, it was time for the millionaire to write the check. He said to the millionaire, no, I've come to meet you only to let you know that I don't need your money. The millionaire asked him, what's changed? And he said, the more I said thank you, the more doors opened. There's a level of gratitude that we need to have. And gratitude, what that does, it opens doors that we never knew were actually accessible. So often we think that we're alone, and it's not that we're alone, is that we are actually not opening our eyes to the resources that we have. So instead of saying, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, step back for a moment. Write down on a sheet of paper, what are the things you do have? Well, you have ears to hear because you're listening to this podcast, or you have eyes to see if you're watching this video, right? You're able to use technology if you're connecting with this content. And of course, you have people around you that while it may seem as though everyone around you is against you, I think if you look a little closer, you'll find people that are actually rooting for you and that want to see you win. And so what I would encourage you is to take a step back. Understand that if you face a setback in your life, it's not a reset. You don't lose everything. Like I said about the Strategy Rewind account on Instagram, we didn't lose everything. We're starting new content. We're starting a new way in which it's used, but that didn't eliminate all the followers and all the interaction. If anything, it heightened it even more. It made it much more clear. And so if you have a setback, that doesn't delete everything you've learned. It sure doesn't delete everything you've earned through hard work and consistency. And so what I want to encourage you today is to do the following. So often we talk about raising the bar. I want to encourage you to lower the bar, because by lowering the bar, you'll be able to create consistency. And by creating consistency in your life, you'll actually be able to have a breakthrough in your life. Not only this, but if you start looking around, you'll notice that there's more people actually that want to see you win than to see you lose. So I hope that today you take the following. Number one, a setback is not a reset. You don't lose everything just because you had a setback. The setback can actually be a setup, but you need to have gratitude. And you need to be able to observe where you are and where you want to be. Having understood where you want to be is not only going to require hard work, it's going to require consistency, and it's going to require gratitude. It's going to require you understanding the resources, the tools, the abilities, the talents, the gifts that you have. I know that oftentimes this can be difficult. It can be challenging. This is where a personal growth strategist can actually assist you. It can be that outside perspective, that outside voice that you need, that nudge that you need. And maybe you're saying, I don't need someone interfering in my life. Yeah, no, you don't. But what we don't often realize is that the greatest individuals had always a mentor or someone helping them. Like, do you think that Michael Jordan did not have a shot coach? There was a coach in there, aside from Phil Jackson, that was helping him how to shoot his shot appropriately. You think Kobe Bryant didn't have that? Do you think Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest, if not the greatest boxer, do you think he didn't have someone coaching him along? Mike Tyson had somebody. Like the greatest actors that you can imagine, singers, songwriters, individuals that you can imagine that have reached a high status or a level of quote unquote success, they have all had a coach, someone that has helped them and held them accountable. So maybe you're saying, I don't need that. Well, great. I want to encourage you to subscribe to Strategy Rewind podcast so that you can continue to get tactics and strategies, just like the ones we're mentioning here today. And as you engage with this and put it into action, you're going to see your breakthrough moment. But for you that want to take a deeper dive into the possibilities of living not simply an okay life, but living an exceptional life and living out your purpose. For you that want to take a deeper dive, for you that are ready to take the leap, not a leap of faith, but a leap into a breakthrough. For you that want to take a leap, and let me just say this. I know you may be saying, Miguel, not a leap of faith. No, not a leap of faith, a leap of hope. This is different because faith looks at the past. Hope looks at the future. Faith tells you what has happened, and hope tells you what will happen. And a lot of us are taking a leap on faith on the things that have happened, and we don't see the results we want to see because we're not putting in the same work that we once put in. And so it's time to reevaluate, to recalibrate, and be able to take a leap, not a leap of faith, but a leap of hope of saying tomorrow is going to be amazing, outstanding, phenomenal. Why? Because number one, I've seen greatness before and I know that I can accomplish it again. And number two, because I've reevaluated every step I need to take in order to have a breakthrough moment. Be sure to subscribe to Strategy Rewind podcast. Be sure to check out the new layout detail content that we have on the Strategy Rewind Instagram account. And again, follow the information on the show notes because there you'll be able to set up a free strategy session with me so that you can have your breakthrough moment. Know this, I believe in you. I want you to know that I believe in you. But it's necessary that before anyone can believe in you or invest in you, that you invest in yourself. Today's conversation was necessary, and I believe it's pivotal in your journey. But the question is, what's next? Where do you go from here? The next step is for you to set up a free 30-minute strategy session. Head over to MiguelLebron.com or click on the link in the show notes. It's necessary for you to take all of the things you've learned and apply them so that you can have a breakthrough moment.